How's it going, everyone? Welcome to another episode. This episode marks the beginning of my baking world tour. I'm going to try and bake something from every country in the world. I'm going to do it in alphabetical order, more or less. And the first country in the alphabet is Afghanistan. And this bread is called Naan Roghani. And I'm sorry if I butchered the pronunciation. But this bread is so sweet, soft and fluffy. It would go great with some sweet tea on its own. Or you could dip it in your favorite curry, so let's get to it. Here's what we need. Some strong white bread flour, milk, yeast, salt, sugar, half an egg, a bit of oil. To top the dough, we'll use the other half of the egg, some more oil, and some sesame seeds. I will need a tray with some baking paper, a bowl, scales, a dough scraper, temperature probe, and a brush. So grab your bowl, add your milk. I'm using cold milk, it's around 6 degrees Celsius. Kneading your dough by hand warms it up a lot, so you want to use cold milk. Now to that, add your yeast, salt, sugar, add the egg and the oil. And it's so simple, you're mixing all the ingredients from the get-go. Make sure to stir well, you won't dissolve any large salt and sugar crystals, and hydrate the yeast. Once you're happy with the mix, add the final ingredient, the flour. Now grab your scraper, start turning this into a dough. You want to mix it in a bowl until there's no more dry flour. Prevent making a mess on your table. This dough is a little bit sticky, but it's no issue. You can use the regular kneading method. What I like to do is press down and forwards with the heel of my right hand, then using the fingers of my left hand I fold the piece of dough under the heel of my right hand, then turn it and repeat. Once you've done this a few times, the motion will become fluent. And if your dough starts sticking to the table and to your hands, simply scrape it together and keep kneading. You want to knead this dough for around 6 minutes in total. And it might still be slightly sticky at the end, but don't worry about that. It's because we use the oil and the egg. The dough will get less sticky as it ferments. So this looks about right to me. Now I can clean up the mess. Place the dough into a bowl, take its temperature. Around 25 degrees Celsius, what I'm after. If your dough is cooler, it may take longer to ferment. If it's warmer, it may take less time. I'm going to leave this for around 2.5 to 3 hours. I want it to almost double in size. And contrary to popular belief, sugar actually slows down fermentation. That's why this takes a while. But a longer fermentation also equals better flavor. Okay, now we are ready to divide this dough. It will be made up of 3 pieces. One large piece that we're going to use for the base and 2 smaller pieces that we're going to use for the sides. Now weigh your dough ball and divide it in half. Keep one piece whole and divide the other one in half again. Then you want to take the larger dough piece and shape it into a ball. Simply flatten it out, fold the edge over the middle, going around in a circle until you reach the point where you started. Then tighten the seam at the bottom and your dough ball's done. Now when it comes to the other 2, you want to shape them into cylinders. Take the piece of dough, flatten it out and cross the 2 sides over in the middle. Then grab the top, fold it down, turn it around, and grab the bottom and fold that in the middle as well. And if my descriptions don't make sense, just watch my hands and repeat. The larger dough piece will be the base of the bread, so we want to keep it round. But the 2 smaller pieces will be 2 long strands, so the cylinder shape will give us a good starting point for when we go to roll them out. It is always advisable to pre-shape your dough in a way that it will make it easier to do the final shaping. Now you want to cover these up and let them rest. This will give the dough another chance to ferment a little bit more, but even more importantly, it will relax the gluten and make the final shaping easier. And around 30 minutes will be more than enough. So grab a bit of flour, make some space, and start rolling. But do not use too much flour. It's always easier to add a little bit than to take any off. Now watch my hands. Here's what you want to do. Flatten the dough piece out and fold the top third down, turn it around and fold the other side over that. And then give it one last fold. You see that little move I did? We're trying to get some tension and some layers in the dough. And now start rolling. Roll it gradually. Use your palms and all of your fingers. And if you feel an air bubble inside, slap it out. Be patient and don't rush it. You don't want to tear the dough. We need to roll this to around 1 meter long, which is about 3 feet. That is why we had to let this dough rest for half an hour. Without resting, this will be near impossible to roll out this long. So let's make the second strand. Once again, flatten the dough out, fold the top down, turn it around, give it a couple more folds, and roll it. Now make sure they're more or less the same length. And this is it, the hard part is over, I'd say. Now simply lay the strands side by side, and starting from the middle, cross them over and wrap them around each other. Starting from the middle always gives a better braid, a more even one anyway. And that's how we make the side piece. Now we can continue on with the base. And there's no special techniques here. Simply flatten the dough out using your fingers. Now you can dust it with flour lightly to help you along. And if the dough is not stretching, what you can do is just cover it up and leave it to sit for 5 minutes. It can be a bit tight sometimes. But once you're happy with the shape more or less, place it on a piece of paper, and give it another stretch and wrap the side around the middle. You can give the braid a quick twist if you feel that it's too loose, but it's not totally necessary. Now it's worth noting that we're not placing the braid on top of the larger piece of dough, we're wrapping it around the edge. And don't worry, it will not come undone. Simply connect the ends and that's it. Now it's ready for the final proof. Make sure to preheat your oven, 160 degrees Celsius with the fan on. Place your bread on a tray, cover it up and let it rise. The final proof should take around 1 hour. If your kitchen is cooler, it may take longer. If it's warmer, it may take less time. On a flat bread like this, it's not always apparent, so you can poke it with your finger and see if it leaves an indentation. But this has risen well, so I'm going to continue with the next step. Grab the rest of the egg and the oil and whisk it to emulsify. We'll use this to brush the surface. Now Naan Roghani apparently means fat bread or oil bread. It's because of this coating. I think normally they use ghee, which is clarified butter, but oil and egg works quite well too. Now gently brush the whole surface with your mixture. And now we can start decorating it. Grab your scraper and press in a diamond pattern. And don't be shy here, really press the scraper in. Go almost down to the paper. If you don't press it deep enough, then simply the lines will disappear as it bakes. And last but not least, decorate it with the sesame seeds. Now let's pop this baby in the oven. It'll take around 25 to 30 minutes. And once it's puffed up nicely and golden brown all over, it's ready. Of course your oven may be different, it may take you a little bit less time, it may take you a little bit more. Just make sure that the bottom of the bread is done properly. Once it comes out of the oven, there's one thing you can do. Brush it with some oil, make it nice and shiny. It's not totally necessary, but I like to do that. But that's how you make this Afghan flatbread. And yes, they have this bread in Pakistan as well. Afghanistan and Pakistan, they share a border. And when it's Pakistan's turn in a baking world tour, I'll find some other bread to make. So let me know, have you ever made this bread before? What do you think of it? I liked it quite a lot. It's a really nice tear and share loaf. And it looks beautiful. And as always, if you have any questions or suggestions, drop them down in comments. And don't forget to subscribe and click that bell for more delicious bread videos. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.